Good afternoon, everyone. I am Reverend Wendy Silvers, and you have arrived at the Awakened Mother Show. It's been a while. We've been in a little bit of a pause, but we are back and we are stronger than ever. Today, I'm going to share with you a mama who has a vision on her heart, and she is executing this vision through an event called Aniwa, which is a gathering of elders, indigenous elders from around the world for a convergence of an event in Big Bear. What we know more than ever is that the ancient wisdom is ageless wisdom, and that the honoring and the reverence that the elders bring is necessary and needed for all of us. So I'm really grateful for Vivien, and I met her because I saw the ads, and I was like, oh, I want to be there. And then in my work with the Kennedy campaign, I thought that it would be really wonderful if we were able to arrange an event. And so we stayed in touch, and we're here today. We're here today to enlighten you and to bring information to you. And especially if you are walking the path of mother and mothering, I actually believe that all spiritual practice is really about remothering, recentering, reconnecting, reparenting yourself to know your essential wholeness, which is the gift of healthy parenting. So let me tell you a little bit about Vivien. So Vivien is a native of Brazil, and she has dedicated her life to her spiritual studies and the preservation of indigenous culture. She founded Aniwa, a platform sharing indigenous wisdom through both an online portal and an annual gathering. Vivien also founded the Boa Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting indigenous-led initiatives. She has been initiated in ancient healing traditions by highly respected elders from South Central and North America. South, Central, and North America. Driven by her profound reverence for indigenous culture and medicine, Vivien's vision expanded with the creation of Huya Aniwa Foundation and Institute, dedicated to the preservation of sacred land and native traditions. So please help me welcome to the stage, Vivien. Hi there. It's so good to be with you. I know that you're in Central America right now. Is that accurate? Are you here? You're hearing me? You said yes. So I'll tell you a little bit about Aniwa that is happening in just a few weeks in Big Bear. It is June 13th to the 16th, if I am not mistaken. Yep, that is it. June 13th to the 16th in Big Bear. Can you say something, Vivien? I can't hear you. Not sure what's happening, but we can't hear you. I'm going to pause this if I can for 1 sec while we get this together. So now that we've got the technology, where this is the right use of technology, by the way, this opportunity to connect with you, where exactly in the world are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I just arrived to LA. I live in Mexico, but I arrived here this weekend in LA, in
Oh, so
Topanga.
you're in Topanga. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. Um, so I would love to hear the vision for Aniwa, how it came to pass. Can you share that with us?
Sure. Um, we were working, well, first, it all came to being after a kind of a vision quest that I did. I was for 28 days by myself in nature, meditating, not eating, just being with the plants and doing Qigong and Tai Chi. And during those 28 days, there was a proper vision quest where I went somewhere else for 4 days. No food, no water, no sleep. And at the end of this journey, nature was speaking so loud and clear. And the message I got was, you need to do something to help the world right now. At the time, I thought I would be an actress. And I was like, oh, one day I'm going to do so much philanthropy. I'm going to do all these great projects. And nature said to me, that's not your mission. You need to go do something to help nature right now. And and I don't know, I was lost. It's like, do I need to move to an indigenous community to learn more? And so I left there not knowing what to do. And 3 months after that, I met my former business partner, my husband, and the first indigenous leader whom we started working with at the Boa Foundation, which was an organization that I created alongside Rudy Randa, who was my partner. And now we have separated. We're still best friends, but he stayed with Boa, and I opened a new organization called Huya Aniwa. So we started doing projects with the Boa Foundation, going to indigenous communities, traveling, spending a lot of time with them. The first project we did, we raised funds on Facebook to build an artisan well for them. And through that, I never imagined Aniwa. It was never my prayer. It was I was just following the guidance of the moment.
Okay.
And one day I was sitting in front of a man who had donated funds to the Boa Foundation. And he was asking me for advice of a really niche event, something different that he wanted to do for himself with his company. And so the idea of Aniwa came through me. I was like, why don't you do this gathering with a lot of indigenous elders? And he was like, but I don't know anything about that. Would you want to do that with me? And I said, yes, absolutely. And so I started organizing everything. I was so happy. And, at the time I was working for this person. But then this person realized that actually during this process, he was like, this really has nothing to do with me or what I do. You're so passionate about it. I'm going to donate the funds to your foundation and you do it. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, it was like the biggest blessing
Wow.
that could have possibly manifested. And so the first gathering was in 2017 in Spain. And there, one person, one American was there, and his life was completely changed after the first gathering. And he said, we need to bring this to the United States. And this is how it started in the US, and then came the platform, and keeps on unfolding as it has a life of its own, really.
That's beautiful. So beautiful. So I'm curious, were you, were you raised in an indigenous culture? In terms of working with ancestors and then the indigenous wisdom?
Well, I came with this spirit to what you could say at the time, the wrong family. Of course, is always the perfect situation
Yeah,
for the lessons we need to learn in this lifetime. But
yeah.
as a child, I had all of this vision very open. I could see spirits connect. And I once bought like a little book that was a book of magic, and I did the spells that were written there, and every single one of them worked. And I got so scared when one of them was to see your past lives in the mirror, and when the mirror started changing, I got really, really scared. And my parents, my dad thought God didn't exist. My mom, I was raised Catholic, but no one really practiced religion in my house. I was
Mhm.
baptized, I had first communion, but no one went to church, no one prayed. And so I grew up having that spirit and that longing to touch upon all of these things, but being taught that none of that was true. And so it was through the years that I ended up, experimenting with drugs and all these things, because I was like, oh, these are some hallucinogenic drugs that make me feel like I'm tapping into the invisible, which of course were not beneficial. And I learned that, through this path. But it was what I knew and what I was exposed to that was supposedly a window to something I knew that was there and that all my life I was longing for.
It's beautiful. I really can identify. I can so identify with you, because I remember as a child just being so aware that there was a presence around everything, and that there was this, I don't have the words as a child, but this field. And I talked to trees. I love trees and nature. And I would take these long walks by myself. And when I think I was 8 years old, and I was with my mom, and really they didn't know where I came from. Like, I remember my mom literally said that to me when I was older. Like, if I didn't know your dad, I would not know where you came from. But she got me this little, like, it was a Dell back in the day. By the grocery store checkout, there would be these little pamphlets, and it was about white magic, which my mother was like the furthest from anything like that. And she gave that to me. And I remember thinking, wow, I led my first seance when I was 8, not knowing, really what I was doing. But at 12, I felt very connected to Native American and indigenous wisdom. And this is called Touch the Earth. And it's all about the Native Americans of North America. And I did a presentation and report with a classmate of mine, Angela Rylander, a woman, a young girl who's a young Black girl. And so I too just felt like I was drawn. It was like my soul was just being like, okay, go this way, go that way. So I love that you did that. What a wonderful journey you're on, and what a wonderful offering to bring this indigenous wisdom now more than ever.
So
You're
important.
the
I'm
one
so
in the back.
honored.
Yeah.
It's my baby.
How old is he or she?
She's 1 year and 8 months, and I have another one in my belly, 5 months.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. So the baby in your womb is going to be blessed by this, as your little one is, by
Yeah,
all the years.
she was born with this spirit. It's so clear. She's so cute. She grabs crystals, and she wants to cleanse us with crystals. She wants to massage us. She grabs things, sacred perfumes and plants. She puts on her hand. She goes like this, and she comes to massage like me and her dad. She has this very sweet spirit. Always happy. Always, always happy. We were in the car for 3 days, and she was smiling the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Again, that sounds like my daughter. Like,
Yeah.
my daughter went to every gathering that I went to, every event, almost every retreat. It's wonderful to bring them up in this energy field. And as I'm sure you probably believe from your teachings, I really believe that it's a sacred contract. Like, we each choose, and then we get to cultivate. That old phrase of nature versus nurture. I think it's both. I believe that a child's nature is presented, and we get to nurture that in them. So tell me about the event that's coming up June 13th. You're here for all the pre-planning. What is the plan? What can people expect to experience?
Oh my God, words are even
I
hard
know.
to
I
do
know.
it justice. This event is completely life changing, really. It's 4 days of 50 elders from all over the world coming to share their sacred ceremonies and to share this energy with participants. The event is mainly about participants finding their own connection with the elements. It's about practices that everyone can take home and do by themselves to connect with the trees, to speak with the trees, to connect with the wind. There are ceremonies for the people who want to sing, to open the voice. It's like a ritual to open the voice. There is another one that they pierce the ears of the children so that they retain all the wisdom that they hear, and they have a good memory and they listen to their parents. So they're also going to do that to the adults, to both children and adults, with the porcupine quill. He's not going to pierce them, but he's going to do the blessing and the prayer, and then people can go pierce it magically. And there is a ceremony. There is a samurai who is 16th generation Zen samurai and ninja. Usually they're only one or the other. He's both. So he's going to teach mudras that help us control the organs of our bodies and our mind, just with different positioning of the fingers. There are many fire ceremonies, many healing blessings. There are ceremonies to understand negative energy, how we acquire it, how we create it with our thoughts, and how we acquire from places we go or from people we are around, and how to cleanse
Mhm.
it. There is a ceremony to find love, to bring in a romantic partnership. Many couples have been formed after the ceremony. Some of them even met during it. It's really magical. And so it's 4 days of ceremonies and rituals and talks and workshops all day long, and from all these different elders happening at the same time. Participants can choose where they want to go. And it's truly the energy that these elders carry goes beyond the words that they share, the energetic
Mhm.
transmission that they have. So when they speak, or the Incas, for instance, they have many ancient codes. And when they speak those words, it kind of like they work as keys, opening different things in our being, in our subconscious. And all of a sudden, you have a whole different perspective and a whole new understanding about things that perhaps seem simple, but when they speak with these codes and with the energy that they bring, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is so simple, yet I had never thought about it this way. No, it's
Wow.
it's really, really magical. It's really transformative. There are sweat lodges as well, twice a day. And yeah, the activities are online if anyone is interested. It's aniwagathering.com, and you can see the activities on there.
Wow. And is there one all-inclusive uh, investment, financial investment, or is it a la carte? Are there things that are added? What is the
It's all included. The ticket includes camping, includes all the activities, and just the food is separate.
okay? And it's outdoors, so it's 4 days of camping.
Yes. And then there
Amazing.
are also options. There is an RV company that offers RVs or Airstreams that people can rent. There is also an option for boutique camping, which is really beautiful bell tents with proper beds in them and everything, private bathrooms.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh! And you're going to do this with your partner and your the one in womb and the one outside.
Correct. Yes. My daughter really, really loves being in ceremony. She's always fascinated. When they're this little, you don't need to teach them. They're already here. The rocks, the trees, as you're saying, nature. For her, it's so natural. When I take her to nature, I don't have to worry. She plays by herself for hours, next to me on the beach, just playing with the sand or throwing dirt on top of her legs. When we are in nature, I don't have to worry about her. Her problem is being at home. She doesn't like to be,
Re-
inside four walls.
Right. Oh my God, that makes so much sense. It's understandable because, I mean, it really the testament when I think about because I've been engaged in trauma informed nonviolent parenting for 23 years, and what I really have gleaned so much is how these children come in, and they're already so aware if they come into the right circumstances because the conditions are prepared, and you don't have to give children a bunch of toys or screens that kind of split out the brain. But if they watch you all the time on your phone, they think that that's something that's natural. But if you take them outdoors, they just feel it's so much about that being in nature and feeling the essence of their being and having all of this imaginary world that's part of their life. It's a beautiful way to have your children do that. Now, will you birth your baby at home?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
birthed her. She was born in our bed. I had a Maya midwife who is also part of Aniwa, and this lady, she helped over 2,000 births, and she has never had one complication, one death, nothing. In fact, she has resurrected children that weren't like breathing, that were born from doctors or from other practitioners. She's a master, and she does everything with ceremony, a fire outside, many prayers before, during, and after. There's ceremonies of presentation of the child to the energies of the Mayan calendar, ceremonies of connection of the mother and the baby, ceremony of the placenta. She was with us for 45 days, and we are bringing her back for this one. And she
And
doesn't believe in C-section. She says any types of cases she can take out. Babies that are facing up, babies with the umbilical cord around their neck, babies that are too big. She believes that with the power of the plants and the prayers, and she has, amongst those 2,000 births, she has taken every type of child, a positioning, and every type of condition out. So I really, really trust her with my life, and I can really see the results in my baby. She's always so calm, so tranquil, so
that's
beautiful.
beautiful. And where is she based?
She's in Guatemala.
Oh my God. That's wonderful. I mean, I had my daughter at home, and I was so compelled to have her at home. And, ironically, when I got married, and my husband and I I went to see the OBGYN by myself, and it was another woman actually. And she first of all, she didn't love that I had a lot of research. It was really interesting because I was asking her a lot of questions. And then she told me that if I didn't move to active labor within 2 hours, that a C-section would be done. And I was like, 2 hours? And so fast forward, I set this intention to birth at home, having really no idea how that would happen. We didn't have the finances for a midwife at that time. And I just didn't know how that was going to happen. And then I got a job with this woman who she used to say that I represented oneness in the office. And she knew when I got pregnant that I wasn't going to come back at my party, but nonetheless, I was able to birth at home, and we birthed in our home. I attempted to birth my daughter in water, and then I birthed her on the birthing stool. But I really feel that women's wisdom is in their bodies, and that the ability to birth is so natural. And that for
Yes.
some reason, this indoctrination, yes, blessing the doctors for the wisdom that they bring and all that, but the removal and the for lack of a better word, the agenda to have women doubt their ability to birth, or for women to feel like, oh, it's just too much pain. I can't go through that. I need to get a shot, or I need to do that to have the baby. And, if God forbid there were emergencies, yes, it's great that you have that if you don't have a midwife like you have.
Mm-hmm.
But I love midwifery. I
Yeah,
love
to
midwifery.
me, I'm very passionate about this topic. Like my mother-in-law in Mexico, she told the doctor, "Oh, she birthed her baby at home," and the doctor looks at me and is like, "Are you crazy?" And
Right.
I'm like, "What do you mean? Am I crazy? How did life get here?" From the first human, like, I mean, we've been birthing. This is the most natural thing we have
Exactly.
done since the beginning of time. And
Yeah.
and I have been through many, many initiations that some people call me crazy for having done, very hard things, not eating for like, as I said, 28 days, or different than not drinking water for days, put my body through a lot of things to grow my spirit. And I will tell you, the most powerful initiation of my life was giving birth naturally, by
Yeah.
far. And the connection that I received through that, and I was already someone who thought I could do everything, but after I gave birth naturally, it's that empowerment to say, wow, as a woman, I gave life, I went through this, and I felt so limitless. It was so beautiful. And this is being robbed from women in our
Yes.
society today. Women are being taught to fear the most natural gift of life that Creator
Mhm.
gave us, the blessing to be a woman and to be able to birth And this gives us so much strength. And so the patriarchal society keeps telling me, oh, this is dangerous, you need a doctor to do this. And
Yeah.
then of course there's a huge, they make you have ultrasounds every month, which one is completely unnecessary. Two, it's so loud for the baby inside that is a few decibels before a sound that makes you deaf
Right.
for what the baby hears.
Yes.
The ultrasound, we don't hear anything, but this is what the fetus is hearing. So that is insane. And then to do the whole hospital experience, it's such a traumatizing experience for the baby, to be born and the really bright lights are just coming from the womb, from the darkness, from the, and being, extracted with an instrument and then separated from the mom, taken elsewhere. They don't even know the difference between themselves and the mom when they're coming out of you. They need to be skin to skin with their mom. They don't need to be taken to another room. And so this is something I'm really passionate about. And I see, in Mexico is really, really sad because all of these women, they are choosing to have C-section because they don't want to ruin their vagina. They think it's not going to go back
Yes.
to what it was before. And then they don't want to breastfeed because their breast will sag or something. And all of these little babies are being born from C-sections without the need of. And it, of course, is a huge business. Of course, doctors want to convince the women to do that because it costs a lot of money. So
Wow.
it's,
We,
in complete agreement with what you said of remothering and that's what
yeah,
we need in our society massively.
I agree with you. Wow. It's so, that's so, isn't it? You know what's so beautiful to me about these times and about having the opportunity? Like my soul was drawn when I saw Aniwa, never having heard about it before, but because of this very strong soul connection that I feel for the elders and for indigenous wisdom. And here we are. You live on the opposite side of the world, and we feel exactly the same about these all of these topics. I do my best not to judge anybody for the way that they choose to birth, but to educate them and empower them so they know that they have a choice. In a perfect world, I would love for every woman to feel that power within them, that yes, it's labor, it's work, it is, you can do hypnobirthing, you can do that, you do the breathing, you can do, all of the herbal tinctures to support the process. And if, God forbid, there's a need, sure, you want to have a backup with a doctor you trust. But I know exactly what you're talking about not breastfeeding. I was so in awe, literally like awe and wonder filled, that my breasts were sustaining the milk in my breasts were sustaining another human. It was absolutely mind-boggling to me. I felt so blessed that that was even possible.
And
And
it's
so
the most beautiful connection.
it is the most beautiful connection to see that little baby that's growing and thriving and is so connected. Really. So, I mean, oracally, you're so connected anyway. But, I feel like our society wants to, this whole idea of, you know, have them sleep in their own bed and self-soothe. And I've said this for a long time. And I remember actually someone else saying this, but a child does not learn how to self-soothe if they've not been soothed. What they learn to do is they may have a trauma response to something that's happening. So they learn to take care of themselves, but it's not soothing, right? Soothing is when you are responsive to a baby's needs. When they cry, you are there. When they're hungry, you feed them. When they're wet, you change their diaper. You hold them close to you. And yet
Yeah.
right? But there's all of this emphasis on separation, 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 like this whole idea of individuation. For sure, you want your child to be resourceful and interdependent and self-sufficient, but this idea that you have to push back and not be close to your parents. And now, granted, we're coming from a very different consciousness, and we chose it. We came from the other way, and we chose this. So not everybody has this compelling desire.
Yeah, I think the problem is not the women. The problem is the society and all of the fear mongering that is being put on the women to really, women, we are powerful beings. We are
Yes.
creatrixes. We have a divine portal in our bodies that connect the spiritual world to the physical. And that power, whenever we are in power within ourselves, we are limitless. And so,
Yes.
of course, we live in a system that doesn't want women to be limitless. They want women to be obeying to the system. And so everything we learn from the moment we are born is about separation, is about conflict, is about a fight or fly, or it's not normal for a child to be put in a different bed. And even the sudden infant death syndrome is largely caused by the excess of vaccines that these children receive at such an early age. They're completely unnecessary. So it's not a thing. Your child is not meant to die from out of the
Right.
blue. This is something, there are a lot more that they are not telling us. And
Yeah.
that child doesn't know the difference between themselves and their mom until they're what, like 4 months old. And
Yes.
so when you take them away from you, you're stripping them from a piece of themselves and creating all of this trauma. But instead, whenever you soothe your child enough and give enough love, this is when they learn to regulate their own emotions. And therefore, they're tantrum-free children. They're children that feel safe and they're happy.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think it's just, their values and the fear and all of these things that keep robbing women of their power and people in general around our world. There's so much misinformation. And even
Yeah.
the breast milk, women are not told that they just need to change their diet, take a few herbs or different vitamins if they don't have enough breast milk. Of course, each case is one case. I'm not saying for
Yeah.
all, but I
Yeah.
see many cases of people that I have met in person that they were told by the doctors that they couldn't breastfeed, they didn't have milk, so they needed to give formula. When actually there are many herbs that make you produce milk. There are many different types of food and supplements. And sometimes that woman is just depleted energetically or physically. That's why the milk is not being produced by the body.
I love what you're saying. Oh my gosh. I love what you're saying. Yes. Agree. Yeah. It's, it's, I feel like there's, what's wonderful about what you're doing and what I feel so inspired to do with my work is to continually empower women to have dominion over their thoughts, over their bodies. There's such a push to give your power away. And even women that rail against the patriarchy have internalized patriarchy. And that's a little more subtle, a little more insidious. And so I love what you're doing with your work and with Aniwa, the gathering. I'm certain this gathering is going to be hugely transformational, that there's a portal that's created. When I often pray for moms when they go into labor and through the birth and then after the birth, and I do baby blessings. So there's such a there's such a sacred component to growth and unfoldment when people are holding sacred space rather than, oh, it's just another day. Oh, okay, what time is it? It's 12 o'clock. Oh, I'm going to go to this workshop, right? Or it's 3 o'clock. I'm just going to do this. Or, oh, 6 o'clock, eat. There's something that's what I love about the indigenous way, is that there's such a reverence to living. It's not taken for granted. It's about being with all of the elements, including ours, like, water, fire, air, earth, like within all of us, and honoring all of God's creations. So you've done an enormous amount of studying. Did you work with particular elders? Did you travel to a place? Like, what was that like? Can you say more about that?
Sure. Yeah, I've traveled to many, many places. I've been studying nonstop for almost 15 years of going from elder to elder, from place to place. And to me, really, the teachings, all of them, uh, one Lakota elder once told me that it's like the teepee. The teepee has many poles. Spirituality is like the teepee. There are
Yes.
many poles, but all of them intersect at the same place at the top. So
Mm.
all of these indigenous teachings for me were about really embodying gratitude as the
Mm.
key of happiness. All of these elders, is about going outside and greeting the sun and saying, "Thank you so much for one more day, for this light. May your light shine upon me today to give me clarity, to bless me. Put your hands out in the sun, bless yourself with the light of the sun, and then go to Mother Earth. Put your hands on the ground, bless yourself with the energy of Mother Earth. Give thanks to the water before you drink it. Send it to people that don't have water to drink." And all of these things to recognize the sacred foundations of life of which we are made of. And through these experiences, what I learned the most really through being in indigenous communities where everyone eats on the ground, there is nothing. They're empty huts made of wood, and they're in the Amazon, and they're the happiest people I've ever seen. When I met those children, I was like, I need to raise my child like this.
Yeah.
They don't need anything and they're so happy. And so I started to realize that how little we actually need when we are connected to this divine source that feeds all with this sacred life force. And whenever we take a moment to just breathe in this sacred air and take that as a sacred exchange, exhale our gratitude. We're breathing
Mhm.
in Creator's breath, we're breathing in life force, and we're so blessed. And all of us who have a complete body, who have full health, I see in our society, we waste so much time. I see so many of my friends that have so much power within them, but waste so much time and energy thinking about such small things. Fights between couples over things they're completely what do you call meaningless. There's such like who is right,
Mm.
who is wrong, and fighting over days and months about that one little thing that was so insignificant, with trauma responses from the past, of course. But when life in indigenous eyes is just so simple, it's just about gratitude, it's just about giving back, it's about paying for our existence on this earth so that we're not just here consuming and taking everything for the earth,
Mm.
and drinking the water, and everything we have comes from the earth, our homes, our clothes, everything we use, all the food we ate in the course of our lives to be alive here today comes from the earth. And so whenever we have this practice of giving gratitude for all of that, we start vibrating in that high vibration of gratitude. And the universe understands vibration rather than words. If I say, I really don't want this thing to happen to me again, I really don't want it, I really don't want it, the universe is only hearing this thing, here's more, this thing, this thing, this thing. And whenever we're saying, oh my God, thank you
Mhm.
so much. I have maybe 10 problems I need to deal with. But first of all, I start my day. Thank you so much for this, that. And so we're emanating that energy of gratitude, and the universe is hearing that. And so it's like, here are more things to be grateful for. Fill your life
Yeah.
with all of those things that you focus your energy in so much. And this is what, to me, the most important teaching is really to remember where we all come from. We're all children of God. God never made a mistake, never creating any of us. Every single one of us is perfect. Every single one of us have our gifts that we just need to discover whenever we can, get over our own minds and understand all the lessons as well that we had to go through in order to grow as people, as spirits, and connect with this divine source of creation. No one can be happy when we are not connected, because we are not made to be alone. We're not just like a walking body of flesh. If we're not connected to God, to spirit, to nature, we're not going to be happy and balanced.
Ah, amen. I agree. I concur. I say that to me is the reverence that I see in indigenous cultures, is that gratitude to hold something so sacred as breath, as movement, food. And we live in a responsive universe that responds to the vibration. That's why we get to be mindful about the words we're speaking and the energy we carry. It's beautiful. I agree wholeheartedly. Imagine, imagine our creating this container, this beautiful consciousness around the world for people to come and reparent themselves, to remember. I feel like people are searching because there's so much conflict, and we're in an election year in the United States. Clearly my allegiance is for RFK Jr., and I'm watching all of the other things that are happening and spinning in the world, and the vitriol, that is not God. That's not the creator. That is the wounded human ego that wants to be large and in charge, that wants to control. I so agree with everything that you said. Frequency, 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 vibration. Food has vibration. We get to bless each and all of us.
Yeah, and all the movies that we watch, all the music that we listen to, the society that is growing up watching porn, all of these things are deeply affecting the subconscious of our youth and deeply programming them to desecrate our most sacred thing, which is sexuality, and all these other aspects, the music, the movies, all of this violence that is embedded in our modern culture, video games, and where kids are learning to normalize killing one another. Through
Yes.
all of these things, we can't let our children watch that, our youth watch that. We need to re-educate ourselves to feed high vibration things in every aspect of our lives. Maybe every single thing we watch, every piece of content, every Instagram account, and also limiting that as well, of course, because this has taken over everyone's brainwashed.
Yes,
Teaching their
I
kids
agree.
to eat with a phone on their face so they don't have connection with the food or with the people around them.
Yeah.
And all of this is deeply, deeply, deeply programming our children and traumatizing them and creating unstable adults.
It's really interesting because doesn't it seem like what's happening is normalizing trauma?
Yeah.
I mean, what you're saying is true. When I see a little baby holding a phone, I have to hold I have to hold myself back from going and saying, "What? Hi, what's happening? How are you?" Because I think, how are you? Because first we have the EMFs, we have the radiation, just like the ultrasounds that you were talking about. That not only is it's so loud for the little developing fetus who's in this warm amniotic sac close to mama's heart with this sound, but then we have the radiation, and I think, and then they're told to do it every month, or if there's a problem, every week, to come in and watch, and all the other things that you mentioned that I agree with. And so but I find that it is, unless you are in a community with a child from birth until 12, because there's that slippery period between 12 to 15. Sometimes it's earlier, 9 to 13, where there's like this little place that kids go where they're in between that little child and teenage years, and they need to be held. So Aniwa, Aniwa is a solution for people to come to remember who they are, whose they are, and their connection to all that is earth, earth, sky, water. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a remembrance of this, how it is to live from the heart, to live in beauty, to remember our ancestors, to honor them, to ask for their guidance, because we are here continuing their journey of life. We are hearing continuing their path. So sometimes we are
Yeah.
playing playing out trauma that happened, 3, 4 generations ago, that we don't know why situations keep on happening again and again in our lives, until we look at it and we recognize, okay, this happened to my great grandfather. Epigenetics are proving now what, indigenous people have been saying for time immemorial, about how imprinting that are in our mother's womb, our eggs
Mhm.
that were in our grandmother's womb, and
Yes.
so forth. In epigenetics, they've already proven for sure that we are born living already 6 lives, no, from both 3 generations, from both the sides. And that even the sperm of our dad, from when he's 15 years old, it starts collecting all that trauma that goes into that egg, no.
Mm.
And so it's about harmonizing all of that. This is what Aniwa is about, is to look at our ancestry, have gratitude for that, is to look at the elements that give us life, that our bodies and spirits are made of, and harmonize with all of those things. And once we understand that, we can be grateful and we can be more conscious, as well as you're saying, of the words we say, of the thoughts we have, of the
Mm.
actions we take, and make sure all of those things are aligned with our prayer, that so that we can manifest our prayer every day. Because we can't like pray for well-being and then live in conflict with our families the entire time. And
Yeah.
so far we can pray for peace in the world, for all the war, if our inner being is in conflict. If we can't be in peace with our neighbor, how are we wishing peace for the world? Our prayer needs to be from something we know the meaning of, so that it can be effective. And this is
Right.
what Aniwa is about finding inner peace, inner harmony, and is about releasing all of the things that we are carrying that doesn't belong to us, or that we no longer need, through all of these healing ceremonies, that opening our hearts to then feel this empathy, to then feel this love for Mother Earth, and to be able to feel her love for us as well.
Mm.
Because, sometimes we're so full of stuff that we've acquired. Sometimes when we are depressed, we can't see any of this or feel any of this, because we can only see our own problems and our own
Mhm.
stuff. So we need to be able to unload our luggage, our bag, through these
Yes.
healing ceremonies, through these rituals, to once again connect, to be able to open our hearts, to be able to feel all of these divine
Mhm.
energies, and to be able to develop this trust in Creator. And so this is what the elders do. They really are masters at it, at sharing that energy, sharing that frequency, and really transforming people's lives in ways that, my words could never do justice.
Oh, I'm just so grateful. Thank you. Thank you for taking time to be here today. And thank you for creating this beautiful space called Aniwa Gathering. It sounds absolutely magical, mystical, uh, a beautiful, beautiful opportunity and invitation for people to really be reconnected to their wholeness. Thank you for that. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Reverend
Yeah,
Wendy. Thank you
yeah.
for feeling the call to this prayer, and thank you for all the work that you do as well at Agape, at the campaigns, at your prayer circles every week. Thank you
Thank
for all
you.
the service you do for humanity, and thank you for having me here today.
It's my joy. It is absolutely my joy. Thank you. And I will make sure that everyone has connection. They know where to go to participate in Aniwa and to stay connected to you. So thank you, really. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom. It's really incredible for that. So everyone, thank you for being here today. I'll make sure that you have a connection to Vivien and Aniwa. I encourage you to go to Aniwa Gathering. And we will be back here. The next episode of the Awakened Mother Show will drop. Stay tuned, subscribe, and share with your friends. We believe in you and know that as you go forward, you are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond description, and a force for good in the world. So go forth and spread your magic. Peace and blessings.